This is JD Vance. Okay, he is calling out Gavin Newsom and California's rampant $7 billion fraud scheme. Okay, this is Fox Business. This is them on YouTube. Go and subscribe to their channel. I will link them in my videos. Yada yada yada. We're gonna watch JD Vance absolutely eviscerate Gavin Newsom in California and their $7 billion fraud scheme. Let's go.
JD Vance as well, calling.
Not enough people are covering this, man. That's why we're going to do this. Definitely follow and subscribe for more of the things that people aren't calling attention to that really need to be called attention.
Out what he's calling rampant fraud across the country. Watch this.
While a lot of Americans can't afford the cost of childcare, they want to take the very programs that we use to make childcare more affordable and give them to fraudsters who are illegally in our country to begin with. These are not politicians who care about you. They care about keeping the fraud going.
So, Brian, now we're talking about the second.
Well, yeah, because if the fraudulent things that are happening continue, then the money laundering that they have been doing continues to line their pockets. So why wouldn't they continue to want the fraud to continue? Because then their money continues, right? Like, we're just going to keep using the word continue because we're going to continue to do the continuous things that continue to defraud the American people continually. Haha.
Phase of this fraud story. And I had talked about a little bit last week that California I thought was going to be next, and here we are.
Yeah.
You're also seeing an anti-ICE response in California with protesting. It's nothing like what's happening in Minnesota. You would expect it to a certain degree out of that state. It almost seems like the ICE situation is being used to deflect attention away from what is happening with the massive amount of fraud that's being uncovered. And I do think that's a piece of this in Minnesota, because you've got Governor Walz telling people, get out there, be on your cameras, film everything that's happening as these tensions continue to escalate. And there's no walking back.
Yeah, no, we found a couple of $1 billion of fraud in Minnesota, I believe, with the whole, like, fake daycare thing. But I'm pretty sure the fraud in California, if it is in fact $7 billion, is more than the amount of money that we found in fraud in Minnesota. So it is really interesting to know that for whatever reason, all of the mainstream media is covering Minnesota, but no one's really covering California. I wonder why that is. Could it be because Gavin Newsom's trying to put in for a bid for the 2028 presidential ticket? I wonder. Could he be trying to clean up his state so that it'll look better for him in the presidential primaries? Maybe. I don't know, but I know that there's a bunch of fraud, and we figured it the fuck out, haven't we?
Back of it from the politicians as it's getting worse. In fact, it only feels like they're fueling the fire even more. So I have to sit back and ask myself, why are they doing this? Is it all about ICE? Is it all about Trump? Or
fuck no, it is not all about ICE. Okay, look, the whole ICE thing, the whole anti-ICE thing, the whole anti-Trump thing, the whole anti-MAGA thing, the whole Trump is a pedo thing. Listen, all of that is just deflecting, okay? All of that. That it is them going, hey, look over here, because we don't want you to see what's happening over here, okay? We're going to have all of the news outlets cover this other thing so that not really very many people know about the thing that's really important that's going on.
Or is some of this part of Tim Walz trying to kind of be able to step back and say, well, see, yes, we have this over here, but look at how bad this is.
Well, you come to me as the fraud expert because I'm from Minnesota.
And the Minnesota
so I must
expert.
know a lot about fraud. I agree with you. Yes, I'm guaranteed Tim Walz is desperate to have the conversation be about anything other than fraud. So there's no question about that.
But yeah, because this really makes him look really, really, really bad.
But I do think it's important, like the fraud has to...
But also, I agree with JD Vance. Look, the California fraud is probably way worse than what's going on in Minnesota. And believe me, I know exactly how bad it is in Minnesota. I've made a bunch of different videos about it. I've been going hard on Minnesota lately. Definitely subscribe and watch those videos. But the California fraud, which I'm starting to cover now because not very many people are covering it, is really, really bad also.
To come back front and center in Minnesota. It has to, because it's a theft of taxpayer money there and across the country. And you can't lose sight of it. I mean, the desire to create chaos in Minnesota is the desire to paper over the real problems with fraud, and that can't happen. But I think it's important and I want to kick it to Taylor because I love when California can be the center of problems and not Minnesota.
But LA, not her area of California.
Right.
You know, no, Merced is a lovely town. And Merced is one of the best. Almonds there are fantastic. The budget in California, tell me if I'm wrong, the budget in California is like $350 billion, isn't it? Okay, so when you talk...
Yeah, no, California's economy is like the or either fourth or fifth largest economy on the planet, right? So like the state of California has an economy that is larger than 99% of all the countries on the planet.
About the possibility of fraud. I mean, Minnesota's budget is a fraction of that. Okay, so
thanks.
This is where there's real possibility. But I just want to say something.
Well, I mean, but what about that like California Railway that cost them like $100 billion or whatever, and forced everyone to pay an extra like 10% or some shit in their taxes, and they haven't built a single not one railway has gone up. It cost them like a $10 million to put up a bathroom, I think is what it was.
I don't know the answer. We talk about California, like...
Shit is crazy, okay? Like these people, like these, so the Palisade fires that just happened that burned down like half of California because there was no water in the fire hydrants because they had to protect like some sort of stupid small fish, right? That is still not, the people have still not recovered from that. Right, so there is so much red tape on the California state side of things that the people that lost their houses and lost their whole lives have still not recovered from it. They're not even allowed to go in there and like pick out their own shit. Right, it's crazy, and it's been years.
Every day, and how messed up it is, and how much fraud there is. But can I just say there's a glimmer of hope in California? I think.
Okay.
This guy in San Francisco, Daniel Laurie, the mayor there.
Yeah.
Is he kind of the person who does crack down on some of this stuff? Like maybe is the kind
Daniel
of...
Lurie?
Yeah, the
mayor.
The Levi's guy.
Yeah.
It strikes me there might be sane Democrats in California that could help with this, Taylor.
From what I've read in previous articles, it does seem like there are people that used to be Democratic representatives that are looking at the current reps in the Democratic Party and really wondering where the hell things went wrong. Because there are people that are more moderate Democrats that don't really have a voice anymore because the Democratic base has gone so far left that their opinion doesn't matter. There is no moderate Democrat anymore. That's why everybody is an extreme right-wing, like a right-wing extremist, right? Because the left has gone full crazy, and so everybody that's not full crazy is just the enemy. It's just right-wing extremists. So even the Democrats, even the people that are moderate going, okay, listen, like we can have a talk about the military-industrial complex while also agreeing that there's only two genders. I think that's a fair compromise. And the problem is that the Democratic base just doesn't agree with that anymore. So you have to be a radical if you're going to be elected into the Democratic Party, and particularly in these state races in the Democratic strongholds. And so there is no moderate voices anymore, and people at Fox are starting to realize that, thankfully.
I'm hopeful.
We've known about this for a long time. Okay, I've said this for months now. Definitely subscribe for the correct opinion months in advance.
Of anyone, and he ousted the London Breed, the former mayor, and that was very far left to moderate. And that's a lot to say for San Francisco, which is very far left. So I am most hopeful on him.
Her eyes are getting me, dude. They're so big.
Was in the election. Businesses are coming back to San Francisco, but I am still not sure how this all turns out, Brian. So yes, cautiously optimistic, but I'm not sure he's the answer either. I think you might need a full gut check in California. Okay. I mean, when we think about the unvetting, I was just reading a $23 million homeless scheme in California where they're...
Oh, okay, so there's a bunch of different schemes going on that all equal up to $7 billion. Is that what I'm
just handing out money, zero oversight, zero vetting. That is ingrained in big city, LA, San Francisco, big government socialism. No vetting because they think vetting is...
Oh shit, look at that, Bitcoin's going down. It's got Bitcoin is 87,000 now. God, I wish I would have bought it when I had the chance.
It's racist. Vetting is discriminatory. Open borders, helping the
S&P
poor
500,
souls,
everything that matters is up, but Bitcoin's starting to go down. Which, listen to me, I don't know anything about about cryptocurrencies and stuff, but as far as I'm concerned, it's just digital precious metals, and I don't trust it.
we can talk about the emotional aspect of that. That's another day. I just want to look at the economics. That's a full, you need a full washout of that. That is ingrained in that culture.
And every time it happens, we're shocked that there's, oh my God, government passed out billions of dollars and there's billions of dollars of fraud. You know, it's estimated that somewhere on the order of 5 to 10% of all government spending is fraudulent, and especially with programs like this. And my sense is that it's not fraud that's the issue. It's the programs themselves. Look, Americans are very charitable. They're very ingenious. If we need a better daycare or cheaper daycare, I think the private market can handle that. But
can we talk about
just
that?
Like PPP, it's always fraud when government starts redistributing income.
I think J.D. Vance had a very good...
The problem with the government being entirely responsible for programs like this is that the government only gets a set amount of money, and then they have to distribute that money across a set amount of different sectors, let's say. So, for example, the government gets $100. They have to distribute that $100 throughout 50 different states, which means each state gets $2. But they only get that $2. If you leave it up to the private sector, each state would get exactly the amount that they think they need at the given time, and the government would have absolutely nothing to do with it. Because whenever somebody walks in and goes, you know what we need in this town? We need a hospital in this town because people are driving an hour to get places. I think that it would be a good investment to build a hospital or a clinic of some kind in this town. So somebody goes and they gets a loan, they build that clinic in that town. It's a successful business. They pay off the loan, but now the town is able to actually grow and more money is injected into the economy, making the government more money in tax revenue. But that's I'm not trying to give you guys an economy lesson, but definitely more people should read up on how fucking money works.
Good soundbite in the intro that you read, talking about daycare. That's just something to talk.
But what do I know? I mean, people with an average IQ of 67 were defrauding the American government in Minnesota. So, I would imagine that the people in California also have a relatively low average IQ, and they're still continuing to defraud people, which really makes me think that it's definitely an inside job from the state governments.
Top of my mind. No nannies showed up this morning. Daycare's a disaster. Everything's closed. So there are thousands of, not millions of people home with their kids today, working from home, just trying to make ends meet today. But again, and Brian, you know a little bit more than I do on this to be dangerous, but if you pulled out and you want it to be a highly regulated industry, but it's also so highly regulated that you don't have entrance into the market. There are so high barriers to get into this that the cost of the daycare or a childcare, it seems like we haven't found the root cause of this. And if that is something in my budget that we're looking at, and that's also where a lot of this fraud is going to, the Laring Center in Minnesota.
I think people are just now realizing that their tax dollars are going toward this fraud, and it's starting to piss them off. And honestly, I am here for it, baby. I've been calling this out for months now. Oh my God. I'm so glad that people are starting to pick up on it. Maybe we can get rid of these damn fraudsters and retards.
I'm sure that they're also in California. That's what I'm talking about, Brian, when you think about change from the root. You got to rip out the full weed, and I'm not sure we're there yet.
Just real quick, Diggin, are you surprised that Governor Gavin Newsom is stepping up his attacks on ICE to deflect from this particular situation?
No, there were some misstatement. I would call them misstatements about...
Any state that refuses to assist federal officials doing legitimate, legal federal work in that state, any governor that commands his law enforcement to stand down and allow federal law enforcement to be attacked in the street should be charged with treason and jailed for life. Okay? Sanctuary cities are inherently unconstitutional.
The Second Amendment is how I would broadly characterize it.
Right.
Involving the man who was killed over the weekend in Minneapolis. That you can carry... He had a concealed carry permit, and you can carry under the Second Amendment your weapon to a protest, period.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. What you can't do is attack a police officer with it.
And it was the phrasing of these statements that was off.
You sure can. You are absolutely allowed to. Not sure if you're allowed to do that in California or Minnesota or whatever, but like you're absolutely allowed to, constitutional-wise anyway, to carry a weapon and go to a protest. Those two things can be mutually exclusive. However, when you brandish a weapon while attacking a federal law enforcement official, you get what you get, all right?
Off. Like, people in the White House needed kind of a course on the Second Amendment and what is legal and what is acceptable
I don't think they do. I think the general public does.
The Second Amendment. You open carry, conceal carry. I know so many people who have been at protests and had their guns on them. That being said, all of a sudden, Gavin Newsom is trying to act like he is for the Second Amendment and is standing up for the Second Amendment.
Yeah, California is like one of the most restrictive states in terms of gun laws, right? Like, there are so many laws there, it is insane.
And which is just absolutely absurd. And Cam Edwards is somebody who lives right near my family in Southern Virginia.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Democrats are for the Second Amendment. It's crazy. It's crazy how Trump can do that. Wow. Look, when the objective is to just hate whatever Trump does, anything that Trump does is going to be considered bad to them. So if Trump is restricting Second Amendment rights, these guys are going to go in and they're going to be like, no, it says shall not be infringed. And then all of a sudden they just agree with Republicans again, right? Like, I really think that Trump needs to come out and say that he is now transgender, because the Democrats will flip on that so fucking fast.
Who is a Second Amendment not only advocate, but he's also a firearms expert. And he said that one of the cabinet secretaries did make a dumb comment, but Newsom and his ilk in California have made it illegal to carry at a protest or public assembly in California, which proves that they don't believe in the Second Amendment, as if there was any doubt. So they're trying to take every word that is uttered by the people.
No, look, they're doing whatever they can to discredit the things that President Trump is doing, because they're trying to do a good job in the midterms so that they can hopefully take back some sort of power in the Senate and in the House. The problem is it's not going to work because they all look retarded. Minnesota is currently on fire, and they're just allowing it to happen because fuck Trump. California is apparently also on fire, and they're just allowing it to happen because fuck Trump, right? We're finding hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fraud throughout the country, and we're going to get rid of it. And the more people see, the more pissed off they're going to be, specifically at the Democratic Party, specifically because a lot of this fraud is happening in deep Democratic areas. Places where the Democrats have been in charge completely for at least a decade, all right? The entire time that they've been bashing on Trump, they've been money laundering and stealing billions of dollars from the average American taxpayer while claiming that Trump is a fascist and doing that, right? So they're going to be held accountable. People are going to start going to jail, and anybody who threatens a federal law enforcement official, and anybody who threatens anybody in the federal government should be jailed. Okay, that's just the way that it works. Like I said, sanctuary cities are not legal. The only people that can create laws regarding immigration to this country is the federal government. State governments do absolutely have to adhere to the federal supremacy clause on that one. And moreover, the Supreme Court has repeatedly sided with the Trump administration regarding immigration disputes and regarding the ICE disputes, okay? Every single thing that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency is doing is completely legal, and they have not at all, to this date, deported a single American citizen, even by accident, all right? That Abrego Garcia motherfucker, first of all, he's a human trafficking bastard, okay? He's part of a drug cartel, but moreover, they call him a Maryland man because they can't call him an American man, all right? Yeah, that's the video. All of my links will definitely be in the description. I recently changed my handle on YouTube. It used to be Cestal-G2D. I just changed it to now Cestal_the_elf, right? So because I'm an elf, it's going to be Cestal the Elf, and I don't want to hear any more cringy jokes about me being the second coming. Don't know who was saying that. Definitely wasn't me. Anyway, all the links will be in my description. Definitely check out my videos. Definitely don't watch my videos unless you're subscribed, because that's not cool. All right, I will see you guys in a couple of days for the midweek stream on Wednesday. All right, bye, guys. Bye.